Here's the thing, people don't miss words, they don't miss texts, they don't even miss faces. What they miss is energy, the way you made them feel, the calm you brought when everything was loud, the spark you gave when life felt dull. If you've ever wondered why someone doesn't seem to miss you, it's not about who you are, it's about the energy you allowed them to take for granted. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to flip that. Not by chasing, not by begging, but by owning your energy in a way that makes them feel the absence of it so deeply they can't help but miss you. You want to know what really makes someone miss you. It's not the words you stop saying. It's not the text messages you don't send. It's not even about how many days you can go without calling. That's surface level. People don't miss the noise of communication. What they miss is the current you brought into their life, the energy you carried into the room, into the conversation, into their space. And when that energy disappears, that's when the absence feels heavy. See, most people think if they just go silent, if they just disappear, that's going to make someone realize their worth. But silence without energy shift is just quiet. It can be ignored. It can be scrolled past. But when you pull your energy back, the way you used to light them up, the way you used to encourage them, the way you used to bring calm in chaos, now that silence feels different. It's not just the absence of words. It's the absence of presence. And presence, that's the part people feel. Think about it like this: you ever walk into a room where someone you love used to always sit, and suddenly it feels empty even though the furniture is still there. That's not silence. That's energy missing. That's what people feel when you stop pouring yourself into them the way you always did. That's when the weight of you hits them. The mistake so many make is they think talking less, replying slower, or giving short answers is going to create that same effect. But if your energy is still orbiting around them, if your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions are still fully invested, they don't miss you because they still have you. They still have your energy, even if your words are shorter. What makes them miss you is when your entire presence shifts, when you're no longer giving them that light that used to make their days easier. And here's the catch: pulling your energy back isn't about playing games. It's not manipulation. It's about realizing where you've been giving so freely that someone started to treat it like it was guaranteed. When you shift your energy back toward yourself, when you no longer serve it up to someone who didn't respect it, that's when they feel the gap. Because for the first time, they realize they don't have automatic access to the best parts of you. When you stop centering them in your world, when you stop sending them the constant reassurance, the constant humor, the constant motivation, they're left with quiet that feels unfamiliar. And it's in that quiet they begin to ask themselves, where did that energy go? Why does something feel different? Why do I feel this space now? And the answer hits them: it was you. It was always you. This is why I tell you, stop thinking your words are the power. It's your energy. That's what they remember when the room feels emptier. That's what they replay when they can't sleep at night. That's what makes them wonder if they underestimated you. So don't just go silent. Don't just withhold words. Pull your energy back. Protect it. Redirect it. Because the moment you do, the moment you step out of the role of being their constant supply, that's when they truly start to feel your absence. And that's when they'll miss you. Not because you stopped talking, but because you stopped giving them the part of you they never realized they couldn't live without. One of the biggest reasons people stop valuing your energy is because you've been giving it away without requiring anything in return. You've been over-giving. You've been pouring into someone who hasn't once stopped to ask themselves, am I pouring back? And here's the truth. When you give too much without boundaries, people don't just take you for granted, they actually start believing your energy will always be there no matter what they do. That's when your presence stops feeling rare and starts feeling ordinary. And ordinary is not missed. Think about it. When someone has unlimited access to something, They don't think about what life would be like without it. They just assume it's theirs. It's like breathing air. They don't pause and say, wow, I really appreciate this oxygen today. They only notice it when it's taken away. Your energy works the exact same way. As long as you keep giving it freely to someone who doesn't value it, they'll never stop to notice how powerful it actually was. The problem is, when you care, you naturally want to give. You want to love fully, you want to support, you want to encourage, you want to show up. That's not a weakness. That's a strength. But here's the danger. When you give more than someone has earned, when you give more than they respect, you end up teaching them they don't have to try. They don't have to show up. They don't have to pour into you, because you'll always do it first. And that's where the imbalance begins. That's where you start to feel drained, wondering why they don't seem to value you, wondering why they don't miss you. It's because they never had to. They never had to imagine life without your energy, because you made sure they always had it, whether they valued it or not. Now, pulling back doesn't mean becoming cold or bitter. It doesn't mean shutting yourself down. It means setting the standard that your energy is valuable, and it won't be wasted on someone who treats it like it's nothing. It means stopping the cycle of over-giving where you're constantly proving your worth to someone who doesn't recognize it. Because the truth is, the more you over-give, the more invisible you become to them. When you finally stop doing that, when you stop overextending yourself, that's when the shift happens. Suddenly, they feel the difference. Suddenly, they notice the little things you used to do, the comfort you used to provide, the reassurance you used to give. They start to realize those things weren't just automatic. They were a reflection of your love, your energy, your choice to show up for them. And the moment you stop, that's when the value of it finally clicks in their mind. The power of missing doesn't come from adding more. It comes from taking away what was never appreciated in the first place. When you pull back that over-giving, when you stop feeding someone energy they didn't value, you force them to face what life feels like without it. And that emptiness, that silence, that sudden lack of comfort, that's the very thing that makes them miss you. So hear me clearly. Stop over-giving what isn't valued. Stop trying to prove your worth by pouring yourself out for someone who isn't even reaching for the cup. Because the moment you do, the moment you reclaim your energy, that's when the craving for it begins. That's when the realization hits. That's when they finally see what they had and what they lost. The greatest shift happens when you stop pouring your energy into someone else and you start pouring it back into yourself. See, it's not enough to just pull back. You've got to redirect, because energy doesn't just disappear, it moves. And when you take that same passion, that same care, that same spark you were giving to someone who didn't value it, and you reinvest it into your own life, that's when everything begins to change. Most people think the goal is to make the other person miss you by absence alone. But that's only half the story. The real impact comes when they don't just notice you're gone, they notice you've grown. When you're not sitting still, waiting for them to return, but instead you're moving, you're glowing, you're thriving. Because when you elevate, they feel the distance. And that distance reminds them of what they lost. Think about how powerful this is. When you redirect your energy into yourself, you start doing things you once put off. You start picking up new habits, investing in your peace, exploring passions, surrounding yourself with people who actually appreciate your presence. You start walking into rooms with a different light because you're no longer drained. And let me tell you, people feel that difference. They see it, they sense it, and it makes them stop and think, wait a second, how did I let that go? Because here's the truth, people aren't drawn to someone who clings, who waits, who begs. They're drawn to energy that feels whole, energy that feels confident, energy that doesn't need validation, but instead creates it from within. That's what makes someone look back. That's what makes them wonder why they didn't hold on tighter. And the beauty of this is, Redirecting your energy isn't about proving anything to them. It's not about posting pictures just to get their attention or showing off just to make them jealous. That's still giving your energy away because your focus is still them. Redirecting your energy is about genuinely choosing yourself. It's about choosing growth, choosing happiness, choosing fulfillment that doesn't rely on whether or not someone else is watching. Because the funny thing is, when you stop performing for them, that's when they start watching the closest. You see, the absence of your energy makes them feel the void, but the transformation of your energy makes them feel regret, because absence can be replaced. Transformation cannot. When you rise, when you evolve, when you become stronger, happier, more radiant, they realize they didn't just lose what you were. They lost what you were becoming. And that's a loss that stings in a way silence never could. This is why you can't just pull back and stay stagnant. If all you do is retreat into quiet, eventually they'll move on. But if you retreat into growth, into peace, into a stronger version of yourself, they'll never stop replaying the question in their mind, how did I not see their worth when it was right in front of me? That's the question that haunts them. That's the question that makes them miss you. So when you think about redirecting your energy, think about it as a gift to yourself first. The side effect is, yes, they'll feel it. They'll notice. They'll miss it. But the real victory is that you won't. Because you'll be too busy becoming someone stronger, someone happier, someone freer than you were before. And that's the kind of energy no one ever forgets. What really makes someone miss your energy isn't just the fact that it's gone, it's the consistency of how it showed up before. See, anyone can give attention here and there. Anyone can be exciting for a week or present when it's convenient. But what sticks with people, what carves itself into their memory, is when your energy showed up the same way over and over again. That stability, that reliability, that steady presence, that's what they get used to. And when it's gone, it leaves a hole that nothing else quite fills. It's like music. You don't remember a song because it played once. You remember it because it kept playing, because it built a rhythm, because it stayed with you. That's exactly how energy works in relationships. When you're consistent in the way you love, the way you support, the way you bring peace or laughter or encouragement, it becomes a rhythm in someone's life. And when that rhythm suddenly stops, the silence feels louder than ever. Now, here's where a lot of people get it twisted. They think consistency means overextending. They think it means giving nonstop without boundaries. But real consistency isn't about draining yourself. It's about showing up with the same kind of energy that made you unique in the first place. And that's what makes your absence so noticeable. Because it wasn't random. It wasn't scattered. It was steady. And steady is rare. Think about someone in your past who was always there in a certain way. Maybe it was the friend who always answered the phone, or the parent who always had the same calming words, or the person who always sent that little good morning text. The second that pattern stops, you feel it immediately. That's because consistency creates craving. We don't crave what we sometimes get. We crave what we always got until suddenly we don't. And that's the key. When you pull back your energy after being consistent, it's not about punishment. It's about contrast. Because contrast is what wakes people up. They go from knowing you'll always be there to realizing you're not. They go from assuming your energy was endless to realizing it's not. That shift is what creates the awareness, and that awareness is what creates the missing. But let me remind you of this. You can't fake consistency. If you were never steady, if you were hot and cold, if your energy was all over the place, they won't miss it when it's gone, because it was never dependable in the first place. What makes people crave your energy is knowing they could count on it. And when they can't anymore, that loss hits deeper than silence ever could. So when you look back at how you showed up, don't downplay the power of it. Don't think, well, I was just being myself. No, you were being their anchor. You were being their balance. You were being the steady light in a world that's full of distractions and noise. That's why, when you step back, when you redirect that consistency toward yourself instead of them, they feel the difference in a way they can't ignore. And that's how missing works. It's not random. It's not about one big moment. It's about the little, steady ways you showed up over time that created a comfort zone in their life. And the second that comfort is gone, the craving begins. Because consistency leaves fingerprints that absence can't erase. When you finally decide to pull your energy back, it's easy to let anger take the wheel. It's easy to think, I'll show them. I'll make them feel what I feel. But here's the problem. When you detach with anger, you're still tied to them. You're still reacting, still investing, still giving pieces of your energy away. And even if you've stopped giving them love, you're still feeding them with your resentment. That's not freedom. That's not power. That's just another form of attachment. The real strength is in detaching with calm. It's in saying, I don't need to hate you. I don't need to punish you. And I don't need to prove anything to you. What I need is to honor myself. That's where your standards come in. Because when you stop attaching yourself to a person and start attaching yourself to your standards, you rise above the situation. You stop chasing them and start protecting you. And that shift is where the real power is. See, people notice when you're bitter. They notice when you're angry. And if you're not careful, they'll use that as proof that you still care, that you're still caught up, that you're still stuck. But when you detach without hostility, when your calm speaks louder than your emotions, that's when they feel the difference. That's when they realize they don't just miss your energy. They lost access to someone who refuses to settle for less than what they deserve. And let's be honest, it's not easy. Calm detachment doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you cared enough about yourself to stop bleeding energy where it wasn't being valued. It means you raise the standard on what you will and won't allow in your life. It means you said, my peace is not up for negotiation. That's not cold. That's not cruel. That's clarity. And clarity has a weight that people feel, because anger pushes people away, but calm distance pulls them in. Anger says, I want to hurt you. Calm says, I've outgrown this. And people will always miss what outgrows them. They'll always feel the absence of someone who can walk away without bitterness, because that kind of strength is rare. So when you're pulling back your energy, make sure it's not fueled by the need to punish. Make sure it's fueled by the decision to protect. Don't tie yourself to the idea of making them regret it. Tie yourself to the standard that says, I deserve reciprocity, I deserve respect, I deserve to feel valued. Because when your detachment is about honoring those standards, it radiates differently. It radiates strength. It radiates peace. And that's what makes them feel the loss in a way that sticks. Remember, the energy you're protecting now is the same energy they used to take for granted. And when they realize they no longer have the ability to reach it, not because you hate them, but because you love yourself too much to give it away freely, that's when the missing sets in. That's when it clicks. That's when they finally understand they didn't lose you because of anger. They lost you because you chose yourself. And that choice is what leaves the deepest mark. One of the hardest parts of making someone miss your energy is accepting that it doesn't happen right away. We live in a world where everyone wants instant results, instant reactions, instant proof that what they did worked. But energy doesn't work on demand, it lingers. It sits with people quietly. And sometimes it takes days, weeks, even months before they feel the weight of your absence. That's why patience becomes your greatest strength. Think about it. When someone has been used to you constantly showing up, constantly being there, constantly giving, they don't notice it's gone on day one. At first, they might even feel relief. They might tell themselves, good, I have space now. But what they don't realize is that space quickly turns into emptiness. Because once the silence stretches out, once the patterns you built stop showing up, that's when the realization creeps in. That's when the mind starts replaying moments, remembering your presence, craving the consistency you once brought. And here's the part most people miss. You don't need to rush that process. You don't need to force it. You don't need to check in. You don't need to remind them. You don't need to chase after validation. Time does the heavy lifting for you. Your absence, paired with the memory of your energy, is enough to create the contrast. And contrast always brings clarity. The mistake people make is they cut off their energy and then get restless when they don't see results fast enough. They go back, they reach out, they try to trigger a reaction just to feel in control. But when you do that, you rob yourself of the power of time, because time, more than anything, is what reveals truth. Time is what separates impulse from regret. Time is what turns your silence into their craving. Patience also protects you, because while time is doing its work on them, it's also doing its work on you. It's giving you space to heal, to rebuild, to grow stronger, to reconnect with yourself. It's showing you that you don't need immediate proof that you're valued. You create that proof by valuing yourself first. And when you get comfortable in that space, when you stop looking at the clock, that's when the balance shifts completely. Because now, you're no longer waiting on them to feel your absence. You're too busy enjoying your own presence. And ironically, that's when the missing intensifies. Because the energy they once had free access to is no longer just absent. It has evolved. You've grown while they've been standing still. You've been moving forward while they've been stuck replaying what they lost. That gap only widens with time, and the wider it gets, the heavier the missing becomes. So if you ever find yourself wondering, when will they notice? When will they feel it? When will they realize what they had? Remind yourself, it's not your job to rush their awareness. It's not your job to speed up their regret. Your only job is to keep showing up for you, keep growing, keep protecting your energy. The rest will happen when it's meant to, because the truth is, people don't miss you immediately. They miss you when silence gets loud, when time stretches on, when the world doesn't give them back the energy you once gave so effortlessly. And when that moment finally comes, it doesn't just hit them, it stays with them. Because missing isn't instant. Missing is a weight that only time can deliver.